time in Boston. Stoudemire able to hit on the spin. Here is Allen for three. Yes! Carmelo Anthony with 37. Anthony. Oh! Now Rondo sweeping in. Yes! New playoff career high for Rajon Rondo. The Celtics take a 2-0 lead in this opening round series.
Playoff game here sounds like no other place in the NBA.
Gets out to Ray Allen, hits a three. Pierce knocks down the three.
But they're going to take the crowd out and they're going to take this team away from the Knicks.
Celtics looking for the sweep. Rondo this time coast to coast. That basket will seal it. The Celtics go up by 13. The Boston Celtics first round series sweep, so impressive.
It was a long time coming for Knicks fans, but their team's first postseason appearance since 2004 turned out to be a brief one as the Celtics swept New York right out of the playoffs. Turns out they'll get another crack at each other on opening day at Madison Square Garden. We're back with David Aldridge. And D.A., let's start with the Celtics, who in particular have some work to do in free agency. What are Boston's priorities?
Well, they need size, Matt. I mean, obviously with Shaq retired and Big Baby's return uncertain with him being a free agent, Jermaine O'Neal in the last year probably of his career, they desperately need a center that they can play in the middle, be surrounded by the big four. And so I'm sure Boston is in on all of the bigs, whether it's Nene or Tyson Chandler. They're going to be in on all of those guys because it doesn't work with the current size that they have, which is none, basically in the middle.
D.A., the Rondo rumors. I know Danny Ainge has denied them, but how much truth is there out there that the Celtics are shopping him? And also, we know he had his injury to his elbow. Can you update on his injury that he had?
Well, the first part, I mean, look, are they gauging what his value is? Yes, around the league, absolutely. I mean, this is a crucial year for the Celtics in terms of transitioning to the post-Big Four era, which is coming up very soon. So they have to know what the value of each one of their pieces is. And Rondo is somebody that they're looking at. You know, they have to see what he's worth out there. And so, yeah, they're shopping. They're gauging interest, but I wouldn't say they're shopping him. I don't think they're trying to get rid of him because there's something wrong with him in their eyes. They're just seeing what his value is, and he's got a very favorable contract for a star player. So they could keep him and build around him and maybe Jeff Green and Paul Pierce, or they could blow the whole thing up and start over and try to use Rondo as the bait.
Well, let's get a little deeper into that. The big three, the original big three of the big four, obviously aren't getting any younger, and some contracts are coming up as well. Is this the last year of the window for that particular group of Celtics?
Well, I don't think there's any question. I mean, look, Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen are up after this year. You've got an incredible free agent class coming in 2012. I mean, I think it would be crazy for Boston not to have as much flexibility as possible if it wants to try to go after one or more of those players. I mean, you know, they have to do that. So, yeah, I think this is the last year for that group, and I think they know that. So the question becomes, do they re-sign Jeff Green, who's a restricted free agent, and how much do they pay him? You know, do they move Rondo? So those are the issues that they're trying to deal with as they look at maybe transitioning to a new group with a new kind of core group going forward in Boston.
All right, meanwhile, the Knicks get a full season, or at least a 66-game season, with Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire playing together. What did Mike D'Antoni learn from the half season he had with the two stars last year?
Well, I think he felt that they could play together. The problem is that defensively, they still got a lot of work to do, man. I mean, they are not a very good defensive team. And so, again, I think for all the talk about Chris Paul and all this, that, and the other, they need to get shored up in the back end if they're going to be for real and a real contender in the East. I'm not sure that Amari playing center, you know, all season long is good for him or good for the Knicks in terms of his health and their ability to defend the paint and defend the rim. You know, they need somebody back there to help him do that. And so, again, I think that their first priority for all the CP talk is going to be to try and add a center and add a big man to go with Carmelo and go with Stoudemire. I think that is what would make them a very formidable team in the East.
D.A., I know you look at everybody's talk about Chris Paul, maybe Darren Williams coming over to Knicks, maybe this year or maybe in the free agency. But when you look at the Knicks, like you said, they need defense. But I'm looking at that two guards part. They need somebody to stretch the court. Do you see the Knicks trying to go after some of these two guards in free agency right now and still maybe try to get the point guard later?
Well, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the Knicks and Jamal Crawford, who played there for a couple of years under Isaiah Thomas and played pretty well. So he's a free agent with Atlanta and would be one of the better two guards that's coming out and available in free agency. So I'm sure that they're looking at that. I'm sure that they would love to try and give Landry Fields someone that he can play with and maybe play behind, because Landry struggled in the playoffs last year against Boston. But I still believe that the big man is a bigger priority than the two-man, but you're right, Steve. They need a two-man also going forward.
Team president Donnie Walsh exited New York this summer at the end of June. So a little bit of a void leadership-wise there at the moment, and that's always a bad thing for a head coach. How about the stability for Mike D'Antoni, first of all, going into a full season with the two stars, and secondly, the overall direction of the organization with Walsh no longer in the picture?
Well, this is D'Antoni's last year of his contract as well, so there's, obviously there's a lot of speculation about his future and whether he's going to be there long term. Glenn Grunwald, who was the GM in Toronto for many years, is acting as the GM now with the Knicks, and Glenn's very well respected around the league. People know he knows what he's doing, so I think they're okay if they don't go out and get some big name to be the GM. But the question is, what is Mike D'Antoni's future? Are they going to stick with him and his philosophy and his system long term, or are they again in a position where they're going to have to make a change? To me, with the team they have now, I'm not sure that going to some defensive system is going to make a lot of sense. I love Carmelo and I love Stoudemire, but they aren't exactly locking people up defensively. So you might as well go with what you got, with your strengths, which is let's try to outscore people.
Should be an interesting season in Manhattan, as it always is for the New York Knicks. DA, we appreciate the time and the information. As always, David Aldridge with us from TNT and NBA.com.